Hello everyone, today we're going to be solving exponents. If you haven't already, check out my introduction to exponents. I highly recommend that you know what exponents are before solving them. Without much further ado, let's go straight into our lesson. So I have 2 to the power of 4. Now I want to solve this. Knowing that my exponent is telling me I'm going to multiply 2 by itself 4 times, I'm going to write this down. So I'm going to do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Now I know multiplying these numbers in one big sitting can be a bit confusing and more apt to cause mistakes. So what I like to do is break down the number. So I'm going to look at the first 2's I have in this problem, 2 times 2. I know that gets me 4. Now I'm going to do 4 times 2, but I'm going to look at that 4 times 2 only. So when I do that 4 times 2, I actually get 8. And now that I have that last 2 to work with, I'm simply going to do 8 times 2, and I get 16. So 2 to the power of 4 gets me 16. What I simply did was start with the first 2 numbers I had, and then I multiplied those together, got that sum, multiplied by another 2, and then I got the sum for that other one, and then I multiply it by the very last number I had. That is essentially how you break down an exponent when you want to solve for it. And you may not have a calculator around, so it's very important that you know how to do this with some mental math. Now going on to my second example, I have 3 to the power of 3. I'm going to simply break this problem down. So I know that 3 is telling my base, 3, that I'm going to multiply it by itself 3 times. So I'm going to do 3 times 3 times 3. And when I do this, I'm going to look at the first two 3, and I know 3 times 3 gets me 9. Now that I have that last 3 to work with, I'm simply going to do 9 times 3, and when I do that, I get 27. So 3 to the third power is 27. Once again, you are simply breaking it down. You are starting off in smaller chunks and then working your way up one by one. Going on to our final example, I have 6 to the power of 2. What I'm simply going to do, this one's a little bit more easier, is 6 times 6 because that exponent is 2 and it's telling my base is going to multiply itself 2 times. So when I do 6 times 6, I simply get 36. So really knowing how to break down a problem and just working in it in sections is what's important for solving for exponents instead of just solving them all together. Now, if you had a calculator available, you can of course plug all of those numbers in at once and you should get the correct answer. Now, this is R the Math Tutor signing off, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.